Joining us today is actor, writer, producer, and director Danny Arroyo. Danny, hello.
Hey, how are you? Thank you for having me today here.
It is a pleasure to see you.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a couple, 2, 3 years since we last connected, where I saw you out here in LA.
A little longer than that, in fact.
Where did time go? How are you doing? How is everything over where you're at right now in Jersey?
Fortunately, we're very good. Yeah, thankfully, everyone is healthy. How are you doing? How have you been during this quarantine period?
I'm great. One, I'm glad that you're safe. Your family's safe during this time. It's what a strange time it is in the world right now. um, a place where I think we really just have to start understanding, being patient, being more loving with one another, and hopefully we can come out the other end stronger. Because right now there's so much friction and turmoil. But I think being an optimist, this time next year we're going to see great change, amazing, positive change. So that's where my hopes lie.
What did you find yourself doing during quarantine? You know, some people were binge watching, some people were playing games, Zoom cocktail hour, Zoom family hour.
Oh, funny. This is the first time I'm using Zoom, so I didn't have the chance to do any cocktail
Uh,
hours or anything like that, even though I don't drink anyway. But all of the above. I mean, we've binged our shows. We've seen a lot of movies. We in the proverbial we, not like we, like I got like 20 people here because I don't. Um, a lot of reading, and then at some point, I really during my meditations, because I meditate daily, something I really just believe in, and it just kind of centers me and it kind of helps me get my day going. I wanted to learn things that I probably, had always said if I had time to do it, I never did before, but now I do. So I've been kind of, going on YouTube, taking a lot of the different seminars and classes and just watching about, let's say, the stock market, learning about how to make passive income. I started an online comic book store because I'm kind of a nerd. I'm kind of a geek. You can see Iron Man back there. I'm a big Spidey, Batman, Superman, especially fan. So I buy, key comic books, and then I kind of sell them, or I keep it for my collection. So I'm doing a lot of different things I never would have done before because I've always been busy either with acting or writing or, producing, which I still do now. I still write scripts. Like right now, I just got booked to rewrite a screenplay right now that's due in 7 days. So
Wonderful.
I'm grateful to still be able to do that. But I want to come out of this quarantine just better, a better person than how I came in. Um, I have more time to meditate and hopefully, maybe even learn a language. Like maybe get better at my Spanish because it definitely could use a lot of work. My Spanish is, I sound like a gringo when I speak Spanish. So maybe it's time to come out of this quarantine and sound like I actually, have parents and family who are fully Latin.
Your family, speaking of Latino, you're Puerto Rican, Dominican, and a little French
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, my mom is from the Dominican Republic. That's where she's living right now with my dad. They're retired. My dad's Puerto Rican, and my grandfather, he had French in him. He's Dominican and French, and a nice little mix there. I don't speak any French at all, but maybe that's the language I should study while I'm in quarantine. So why not? I have the time.
Spanish, don't forget the Spanish.
No, yes, yeah. Well, I'll get better with Spanish when I make more Spanish friends, which I have many, and make it a point to speak Spanish to them only. And then now we can get, that's how I'll get better with that. Since I already know the language, I just got to keep practicing, get my tongue back to, rolling my R's and saying things correctly.
Well, you have a new friend here, so from now on, only in Spanish. Not this interview, though.
Not this interview. Ahora tú no quieres hablar español conmigo porque yo sueno como un gringo, pero tú me puedes entender.
Muy bien. That sounds great. I thought, honestly, I wasn't sure what to expect. That was pretty good. And the accent
Yeah.
felt like a Spanish accent.
Did it really? No.
Yes.
Okay. All
No,
right.
I'm honest because I'm actually I'm a stickler for grammar. So,
Yeah.
no, I was impressed. So
I
from
always think when I
I
speak
take a
Spanish,
message.
I always think when I speak Spanish that I sound like a person who's learning English, and I always like saying the wrong things, like, you know, how am I, or where are I going? And I'm like, I'm thinking I'm inflecting my verbs wrong or something, but
Well,
you know,
your brief sentence actually came out very well.
good. I'm glad that
Next
inspires me.
interview in Spanish.
Well, from now on, when we speak, it'll only be in Spanish after this.
Okay, be careful.
Well, good.
What you wish for.
Yeah. How's your time in quarantine been?
Um, a lot of binge watching. In fact, it was because of my binge watching that I came across one of your films. So I was looking. I went through Hulu. I went through Netflix. So I went through like everything online after I'd seen everything on. I still have cable. I'm one of the few people that still pays for cable.
Really? Okay.
So I still do. And so I got through all my movies, my shows, and now I'm just looking randomly. And so I start watching something that looks, somewhat interesting. And I'm watching, and I'm like, wait a minute, I think I know him.
Jeez.
And so I'm looking, and I'm like, no. So I continued watching, and when I met you, and we were talking about this before camera, you had blue eyes
Yes,
in
yes,
this
that's
movie. And a few minutes ago, when I looked at you deep in your eyes, they're not blue.
yeah. I wore blue
Not Danny.
contacts. I wore blue contacts for a period of time, and I still will, depending on whatever character I might be playing on a film. So when you met me, I guess I still had my blue eyes, and the contacts, they're prescription too. So I guess when you met me, I had that because I was doing a project. Never took them out. I just had that. So my eyes are naturally very dark brown, very, very soulful and very dark brown. But you met me, I had blue eyes.
So that everybody knows, before the interview started, I asked him to come into the computer because I wanted to look at his eyes. And then I asked him, when I met you, they were blue. So for anyone that didn't know that, his eyes are brown, soulful brown.
Yeah, very soulful, very Latin right now.
But I was watching the movie, and I continued watching. I was toward the end of the movie, and I couldn't help myself. I was like, I gotta tell him, because I was just so amused, and I hadn't reached out to you in a number of years.
Yeah, we haven't talked in a minute. Yeah.
And so it was one of those moments that I thought, in recent years, I don't believe things are coincidence. And it was one of those moments that I thought, oh, that may be odd. He hasn't heard from me in a while. And I thought, no, this actually seems appropriate. And I was like, I'm just going to send him a message and tell him that I happen to be watching this.
Yeah. I'm glad you did. And know that there is no such thing as coincidence. There's only synchronicity. The universe only speaks in that language. You may call it coincidence, but it really is. Things are just aligning and flowing the way they need to be. And for whatever reason, you came across my film, the inspiration came to reach out, and here we are, a week or two later, we're having this amazing interview. Yeah, it's all meant to be. Never a coincidence, never, happenstance, don't think anything more of it. No, there's a reason why.
No, and hence 2 weeks later, because it was about 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
that I then thought about it, and you made a comment, or we talked about it, and he said, oh, we can do an interview. And it was maybe a day or two later, I gave it more thought. And I was like, actually, that would be great. And hence we are here today.
Here we are.
You
Yeah.
then shared with me another movie that you also wrote. You wrote, you directed, and you starred in the movie Bite.
Yeah.
So because you asked me to watch it, I'm like, absolutely, I'm going to offer my support. So I'm watching the movie, and I got myself comfy. I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch this movie. Didn't know what to expect. Thought, okay, maybe horror. Oh, we'll see Bite. Okay, I'm in for this. So I start watching, and it starts off really, had kind of like an 80s, 90s vibe. I don't know why right now What's Happening popped into my head. I don't know if you ever saw that show.
What's Happening with Rerun and Raj. Yeah.
That movie suddenly popped into my head, or that show, but that movie just popped into my head. But it had a certain vibe that it didn't make me think, oh, contemporary. And it was just, so I see this young man, coming in, and, he's there with his wife or girlfriend, and I don't want to ruin it for anyone. So I'm like, oh, this is cool. Like, I'm feeling some comedy here. And all of a sudden, a few minutes in, I see a hand popping out of something, out of a pouch or something. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, what just happened? And clearly, it doesn't take me very long to figure out what it's about. I had to stop the movie because it brought a memory to me of something. And I was like, oh no, he didn't really. Like, why would he want to do a movie about this? I'm like, all right, this has got to be a comedy. So it took me, I took a few minutes, I composed myself, and then I played again, and I finished watching it, and it was funny. It was really funny. You then shared with me, and I'd love for you. I want people to watch it, so I don't want to ruin it for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come up with the idea for this?
Okay. Thank you for watching and thank you for your kind words. This is I had gone back to college, even though all my years of having gratefully and thankfully been acting and writing projects and producing things, I felt I needed more to learn. So I went back to college. I'm sorry that the screen moved like that. I went back to college to learn and become a better director and become a better writer. And this film called Bite was my thesis. And they always said, write about what you know. And I had the terrible experience of one day walking out of my apartment, seeing that a neighbor was moving and they had thrown away a lot of their furniture. They had a dresser. And in the film that I made, it's a beanbag because it's easier to carry. But out in real life, it was a dresser. It looked great. I was thinking about repainting it, being all creative and doing this great stuff, brought it into the apartment. And within 2 days, my place was infested with bed bugs. Like I woke up at the time I had a girlfriend. She woke up, just bites all over. I'm looking on the sheet. I see them crawling. It was so bad. It took me about 2 months to having tried everything from exterminators a couple times to I had a dog come in that would sniff them out. And I was like, great, you're sniffing them out. But now what? I know they're here. Like, what does it matter if you go, there's one in the closet, there's 100 all over the place. So I went through, that was very traumatic. I don't want to belabor it. It was very traumatic because I didn't know what to do. I had to throw everything away. Um, and what you saw in the film, the end conclusion, what I used to finally get them and that got them, that's what got them. But, the exterminator didn't matter because I exterminated, I come back home, a day later, stay at a friend's house, and I move like a table, and there was like a bunch of them chilling there, just like having a party, and then they were like scattered. So I was like, this is not working. So anyway, as you can see in the poster here, that's the poster for Bite. If anybody ever does want to see it, I'm happy to send you the link to watch it. It's great. It's on Shorts TV right now. And Bite is my college thesis about my experience with the bed bugs. And I made it into a comedy because it definitely was my horror story, but I thought it'd be better to tell it in a more comedic fashion where the bed bugs, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but most people already are aware. Um, I didn't know how to make the bed bugs in my film tiny and animated like I would wanted it to be in Disney. So I came up with a unique idea of how to film these bed bugs in my apartment, and it seemed to really work. Bite has been submitted to a numerous amount of film festivals, and we've won almost 10, 12 awards already, from best comedy, best dramedy, best short, best actor, best sound. We've won. It's been great. It's been a wonderful ride. That was the long version. Sorry for having to go so long with
No,
that.
not at all. That was wonderful. I didn't know. So you went back to school in recent years.
I did. I've been to the Los Angeles Film School. Um, I was really debating about it. I was like, do I go back? Like, I know what I'm doing and this and my ego was fighting me, and I had to sit there and go, ego, let it go. If you have the opportunity to go and learn, do so. And in 3 years, I got my bachelor's degree in directing, writing, and film production, which is great. Bite is the result of it. I made a number of friends who were going to be friends for life, who will work together. And it was a tremendous experience. Like, sad that it was over. Like, I wasn't sure about starting it. Sad it finished. So it was wonderful. And I have a great memory now, which is, bites and stuff. And by the way, that's Juliana, my co-star in the film. She's from Colombia, just like where you're from. You're from Colombia as well.
I
Yeah.
knew I liked her when I saw her.
Yeah, she's very talented. She helped me produce it. She's a big reason why this film worked, because as I'm trying to direct it and get it going, produce it, I'm the writer, and I got to act on it too as well. And she, as a producer, stepped up and really kept the film together and did a lot of the things that I needed help in it. And she's tremendous and great in the film. Very funny, really very talented. So shout out to Juliana.
Oh, that's so nice. So no, I think that's wonderful that you took it upon yourself to further your education, learn more about the industry. No, congratulations, kudos.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, I recommend it. Um, I do a lot of motivational speaking now to people like who are starting off in the industry, and they say, should I go to film school? And there's a question I get, and I go, if you have the means, yes. But if you also have the means to go to film school, you also have the means to maybe buy a great camera and buy the equipment and maybe just start shooting as many different short films as possible. They can be as long as a minute and then as long as 40 minutes, anywhere between. So that could be your film school. I mean, it's what like someone like Spike Lee did. He just had the equipment and he made his own films. I mean, much respect to that. I could have done that as well too, but I really wanted the experience of going back to school and being in a circle of friends. So that was my big reason why I did that. But the, keep filming as much as you can if you have the chance to film, because if you can't afford a camera, I guarantee you have friends around that do, that maybe have the same vision. Or if you don't know how to write, you can find plenty of writers that have plenty of material. There's no reason not to always be working, not to always be filming, not to always showing your world your talents.
And you've been working for quite a while. So you're actually from my neck of the woods. You actually grew up in New Jersey. How
Yeah.
long did you live in New Jersey before you moved out to California?
Let's see. I was born in New York. I was born in the Bronx, and then was raised in Jersey for a number of years. My dad was a cop in New Jersey.
Oh,
So um, for a while, how many years now? I lived there for a while. I New York, New Jersey, probably about 20 years, and then been out here now for a number of years. I mean, I don't know where time goes, but my goodness, time flies. But I did start my career out there, and I was doing some theater, um, getting my feet wet, trying to figure out the industry. And then when I realized that the winters were kind of kicking my butt in New York and having to walk to auditions in snow and this, and your nose is dripping and your ears are red and you're having to, I was like, boy, I hear LA is really good in February and then it's nice and warm. And I came out, thought I would stay maybe a month, just kind of test the waters, and I never left. I wound up staying. So yeah, yeah, I came out. So I had a comic book collection that I got rid of a lot of books, had a tax return, and with that money, came out here and rented out an apartment, got a car, and just got with it. Just got with it. Yeah.
did you start working immediately? Because you said you got your feet wet in the New York area.
Yeah. Well, when you come, or like when I came out here, and I tell people who don't live here but they're thinking about it, I go, don't just come out here and go, now what? I knew I was coming out, and at the time, it was okay to send postcards to. But what I did was I looked up addresses, physical addresses, and names of people, managers, agents, and I sent them a postcard about a month prior saying, "My name is Danny Arroyo. I'm going to be in Los Angeles, so and so date, until so and so date. Would love to have a meeting with you." And then about a week prior, sent another, I mean, like 500 postcards. I mean, it costs money, postcards to make, stamps, but I got like 25, 30 calls saying, want to have a meeting with you, want to have a meeting with you. So when I got out here, like within a day of having, stayed at, a friend of mine let me stay at his place for the month until I decided if I was going to stay or not. So I had a place to stay. But within a day of arriving, I had a meeting the following day, a meeting the following day after that. So I had like 10 meetings lined up. And within those meetings, there, found an agent, found a manager, started
Yeah.
auditioning immediately. And then like within 2 weeks, I was like, I knew I was going to stay here. Yeah, I was getting busy. I was working. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Working, auditioning. And then eventually the work would come as I got better in my craft.
That's wonderful. And as you talk about your craft, you've worked on numerous projects. We've already mentioned a few. Another one is Sangre Negra. That one's starring Eric Estrada.
Yeah,
Which,
Eric is the man. Eric is the man. Let's see, Sangre Negra is that's that show is really very personal, and I feel really proud of that show because that is one of the first independently funded TV shows. You know, they're very expensive to make, and we started off with this idea. At least the two producers who had reached out to me expressing an interest in playing the role of Christian Santos, who is a LA police officer. Um, they were thinking about making a web series, and I was like, "Yeah, great, let's do." I love the script, and they were seeing how our chemistry and things were working out, and it was evolving, and soon it became an hour-long series. And now we've shot 8 episodes, 1 hour long each. We're finishing up editing, and as of right now, the El Rey Network has expressed an interest in showing the shows. We're hoping it'll be sometime this year, but we're also open to maybe a Netflix or Hulu picking it up. And it would be great to see, Sangre Negra out there, a show about, affluent Latinos. I play a cop, my brother plays a defense attorney, and our other brother is a gangster. So my job is to arrest my brother because I am, all about police and justice. And then he hires our brother to defend him. So there's a nice there's something going on there. Yeah.
I've seen some video clips of it, and it seems very entertaining. Like it made me think Dynasty, Sopranos.
We call it a Sopranos and Dallas
Ah,
mix with an Empire flair.
yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a great time. So I mean, shout out to Tony and Ricardo and Frank, our director, who they've really held this together. It's sometimes hard when you're out of money and we're so close to finishing, and maybe we have to hold off for a few months, and then we come back strong and we're filming. But we got ourselves 8 great episodes that we're so ready to show the world. And actually the pilot episode can be seen on Amazon, which is where we got the interest from the El Rey Network and other people, because we thought, let's put it out there and see if there's any interest. And there you go, we got some interest.
With the cast of characters that you have, I'm thinking it had to have been fun on the set. Like, were there fun things that were done,
Yeah.
said, and it was a primarily Latino cast. Not all, but the majority of the
It's,
cast
a,
are
it's
Latinos.
an eclectic cast. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're talking about Sangre Negra's main core are Latinos. We wanted to show Latinos in a different light. Like I said, think Dallas, but they're Latin and they're here in Los Angeles. But that's the thing about working on a TV show, the family and the camaraderie that you develop with one another. I mean, I may not see them for a couple months, and then when we get back on set to film, it's, hey, how's it going? It's just like nothing's changed. The friendships are there. I love laughing with them and having a great time, and then we film, and then we create, and then we can talk, and we trust one another to take chances and risks, and it's a great experience. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love working on film, but in the 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month that you film and then you're done, you may not see that person again. But I do love the experience of being on a TV show that when I think about shows that have gone on for long periods of time, like like a 30 Rock, or Friends, or Cheers, or I mean, can you imagine working with the same group of friends for all that time, and what you can create, and the family, and that would be so great. So I had a little taste of that with Sangre Negra, and we're hoping for more if season 2 does get picked up. So fingers crossed.
So the thought was, as a Latina, I speak as a Latina, there is, I don't know, there's a human element, or in Spanish we say un calor humano,
Mhm.
Just, I'm not sure where it comes from, but there is something very special, almost very sweet that you feel among Latinos, a closeness. So I'm thinking with the cast that you had, did a little bit of that come out or during breaks or things? I'm thinking, did some sign of, Latin food come out or listening to Latin music or,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
because
We
your character, all the actors that were on the show, all pretty entertaining. Some of them well known.
yeah.
What was that like to be on set?
It was a very great Latin flavor there. Absolutely. There was a lot of speaking of Spanish, which I always was like, yeah, let's do more of that. Like my character from episode one, and as the episodes go further, he's speaking English, and then my I start to speak more Spanglish. Like I was like, let me be the guy that's, I want to be that guy to learn how to speak better Spanish, like real life for me. But yeah, we have dancing on the show. It's a lot of great Latin themes. Just pride in who we are as a people, as a heritage, and we have a platform now to show that. So it was great. I mean, we got you know uh, people who are from Cuba, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, Guatemalans. I mean, all types, all there. But not just that, we also have different races, African American, Caucasian as well. It's a great melting pot of talent.
In terms of, you've worked behind the camera and in front of the camera. Do you enjoy one more than the other?
I Is it egocentric to say you like being in front of the camera? I do like to perform in front of the camera quite a bit. So even when sorry about the screen again, because even when I was directing and I was writing the project, I wrote it for me to be in. Like, I had many people in college was like, "Oh, great that you're writing this, but maybe you should cast someone else so you can really get the full director thing." And I go, "No, this is a vehicle for me. That I can do all three." So a lot of people fight me on that one, but I had to, firmly say no. As many years as I've had to audition for roles and not get them because I'm not maybe tall enough, or maybe I'm not strong enough, or who the heck knows the reasons why you don't get the gig. This is a gig I know I'm going to get. I know the character. I'm writing it. I'm going to direct myself. I see so many great directors doing it. Why can't I? And it was the best choice I made to actually be in it, and then go run and see the dailies and or the playback and go, okay, that works, and oh, let's do it again. And so it was a tremendous experience. So I love being in front of the camera and being able to move somebody, whether it's through laughter or an emotion or something. Um, but I do love writing too, because I know, yeah. I, to answer your question, in front of the camera is my favorite, but the others, they're close.
No, that's understandable. I heard a doggy in the background that I think perhaps got moved by the interview. Do you happen to have a dog or a neighbor?
That's a neighbor. I don't have a dog here, but yeah, my neighbor, and now you can hear them out there, and I think there's another dog. So
Live Zoom.
we just roll with it. We just roll with it.
Exactly. When we were talking about Sangre Negra, you were talking about all the different ethnicities that are represented on the show. Do you
Hmm.
feel as a Latino some type of responsibility to serve as a role model? Like, has that ever occurred to you?
It's a great question. When I was auditioning years prior, I think it's changed a lot now, especially with people being more accepting of people of color, and trying to raise the equality. I mean, years back, I remember auditioning for, like, it just seemed like it was never ending stereotypical roles. The janitors, the garbage man, the gangster, the bad guy, or the Latin lover. I mean, it was like those were it. Um, Sangre Negra was about showing the opposite of that. Like, we are as equal and as smart and as talented as anybody. We can play lawyers, we can play doctors, we can play cops, we can play senators. And even when I write today, unless it's for a specific role, I want to be able to show us in a light where Anybody can play that role. Anybody. It doesn't matter of what race or nationality you are. So that is important for me. I want to show that we are all, no more stereotypes. It seems like I'm kind of, not sure how to say this because I don't want to misword. I don't want to do the stereotypes or show us in stereotypes unless it absolutely calls for it, not because somebody is ignorant and they don't know any better. That's what it is. I think back then there was an ignorance that's all we could do, unless you become a star, and then the star can, across the board play anything. But if you weren't, then you had to, play those kind of roles there. So there's less ignorance now.
Well, it makes me think of Rita Moreno, and I never saw her as Latina or as Caucasian, or
Not
I
at
never
all.
thought of that. I just remember seeing her, and then it wasn't until I got older that I started appreciating. So I already appreciated her talents. She had already won me there. But then it was like, wow, like she is a Latina that has accomplished a great deal. And luckily I didn't grow up thinking, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what, because I had a fortunate upbringing that I never thought about my race or that I spoke Spanish, or it was just a part of who I was.
Yeah.
I never thought like I got picked out or didn't get picked for something because of what I looked like, and that's how I always saw her. And it wasn't until I got older, and certainly when I was living in California, where I developed this whole new appreciation for her, of how much she had been able to accomplish in what I didn't realize was a time where that was really challenging for Latinos to be able to get those types of roles. Like she was in my favorite all-time movie, Singing in the Rain.
Oh, she's Rita Moreno is in Singing in the Rain. That's a favorite movie of mine too.
Yes. You've seen the movie. Like that's like my
I
all.
own the movie. I mean, I'm big. I love musicals.
Oh, so you gotta watch it. It's at, I don't want it to completely give it away. It's toward the beginning of the movie. Yeah, beginning of the movie.
How am I forgetting this?
It's when they're going in to see a movie and it's a red carpet. I'll leave it there.
Okay. Yes.
There.
I pride myself on being a movie connoisseur. Like I watch movies.
You know that?
Well,
Ooh.
it's not that I didn't know. I can't believe I forgot it. But I thought you were going to say West Side Story. I was like, oh, Rita Moreno, West Side Story. But that's there's so much going on. But Rita Moreno surpasses the color line. I mean, her talents just do that. I mean, she's an EGOT, Emmy, Golden Globe, Oscar, Tony. You know what I mean? There's only 5 people that are performers that have that. That's pretty fantastic. So when you reach that level, like I said, you surpass. Until you get to that level, at least hopefully not nowadays, but back then, until you get to that level, you were just you fit where you can fit, and sometimes, so yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting Rita a couple times during some of my Emmy events, and I got to meet her because she's doing One Day at a Time, and I went to a One Day at a Time screening. They showed 2 episodes, and she was there, so got to shake her hand or whatever, and it was thrilling. It was that's the thing about also living out here that I really enjoy, because I go to see a lot of movies. Not now, and I won't go to movies now, not till things are better. I don't care if people are 6 feet apart and they're wearing a mask, and I'll miss it.
Like me.
Yeah, I will miss it because I love movies. But what I love about living out here in Los Angeles and Hollywood is, I'll give you an example. I went a couple years back to see the double feature, Young Frankenstein and The Producers. Young Frankenstein is one of my all-time favorite comedies, if not the top. That, Airplane, Tootsie, kind of like that. At the intermission, after Young Frankenstein finished, we're ready to watch Producers next. The lights turn on, and the guy who runs the theater is like, "We have a surprise for you, unexpected." He was driving home and he happened to see, this was on the marquee. Everybody, Mel Brooks. And
Oh,
Mel Brooks
wow.
walks in
Oh.
and did like a 20-minute interview talking about joking around, everything. And I went, only in LA and Hollywood does that happen. And that's happened a lot for me when I've gone to screenings and seeing somebody show up, or the director, actors, whatever show up. That I love, and that I do miss.
Oh, how nice. That must have been a thrill. I have to say, I had the chance to meet Rita Moreno at an event as well. She was in front of me, and yeah, I wasn't shy. I tapped her on the shoulder and I said, yeah, I have to. And so I spoke to her very briefly. And actually, I had forgotten about this. When I was in high school, I got on this kick that I was writing to actors that I liked and
Hmm.
asking for their autographs. And so she actually saw, I don't know she, but I got an autographed picture of her sent to me. And I remember I got it. Yeah, I was on this roll. I must have been like a junior in high school. And she was one of the people that sent me a signed autograph. Now it's in a box because, as I mentioned, I lived in California. And so there's still things in boxes that I'm looking at all my boxes.
Oh, really?
But
How?
that is pretty
And you,
cool.
and you told and you told her?
No, I don't think it even occurred to me. It wasn't until just this moment that I remembered that I have a signed autograph picture of her. I had forgotten about that. But yeah, at one point I had all my autograph pictures on the wall, and it might be the picture you suggested that I put a picture back here. Maybe it's my Rita Moreno picture.
You should. That space there, it definitely needs something, a good energy, something there. I'll show you another good movie story. Probably one of the last times I've been to the theater where I got to see a celebrity. I went to I don't know, 40th or 35th revival of The Exorcist.
Oh
That's
wow.
that's a crazy movie. Okay, obviously I read the book a couple times. There's the dog again. I say Exorcist and the dog barks. Figure that one out. Um, but the lead actress, Ellen Bernstein, and then the director, William Friedkin, were there. And they were sitting in front of me as we were watching the film, and then they did a Q&A, and Ellen was saying, I hadn't seen this film in, I don't know, like 20 years, like a long, 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 long time. And for her, it was like she was watching it with fresh eyes, wasn't associating that that was her character up there. And I was watching her watch the film, and I'm just going, wow, she's watched, this is such an iconic film, and she's watching herself, and she's like disconnected from, that's me. Like she's going, I don't know who that lady is, but I feel really bad for her. And I was like, so it was, those are just moments. I mean, you just can't